Now we proceed to the inaugural address. It is with great joy and respect I invite Most Reverend Dr. Peter Machado, Archbishop of Bangalore and the Chancellor of St. Peter's Pontifical Institute, to deliver the inaugural address. Your Grace, we graciously turn our attention to you.
Respected Archbishop Kalist, respected Bishop Lawrence, Father Legrand, Father Hector, Father Anthony, the Treasurer, the Registrar, Father Lawrence, who is the President and more in a way the one who has convened this beautiful gathering today to begin the Golden Jubilee. Bishop Lawrence in his sermon said, the Pope has said that the sermon should not be more than 7 minutes. I think the Pope has not said anything about the lectures, no? So I could go a little more, but then I will try to be a little short. The Holy Father, as you know, has inaugurated just recently, a few days back, what we call the year of the Jubilee, the year of the Jubilee of the Church. 2025 years of Jesus' birth. And it's a very pleasant coincidence that St. Peter's Pontifical Institute also celebrates another Jubilee, a Golden Jubilee. We might say it's a beautiful coincidence, the Universal Church and this institute also celebrating coincidentally a Jubilee. Speaking about coincidence, it seems there was this teacher who was trying to explain to the children what means coincidence. Something happens here, another thing happens here, and both together is an incidence that happens together, therefore coincidence. She gave a lot of examples. For example, it rains this side and there is sun that side. Perhaps there is a coincidence of nature. And so after giving a lot of examples, she asked the students, can you give some examples of coincidence? These were small children. But then there was a lot of silence and they started thinking what could be the coincidence, example as such. But it seems one boy got up and said, ma'am, I know and I can give you an example of coincidence. She was very happy and said, please tell us. And he said, my father married my mother on the same day, at the same time, in the same place. This is coincidence. I speak about coincidence because ultimately every Jubilee is a gathering of coincidences or incidents that have come beautifully and has crisscrossed our life to tell us where we are. Archbishop Kalist beautifully explained the coincidences of this institution from 1976 onwards, how perhaps every event was very, very important. And because of these small incidences or coincidences, today we have arrived at the Golden Jubilee. I would like to perhaps reflect a little out of the box, as it were, to say what St. Peter's perhaps should be or could be. Not that I am not saying that it is not, but then perhaps every institution looks back, looks at the present and always points to the future. And therefore perhaps I could say 4 small things which St. Peter's or any institution that wants to be something like a flash, as it were, that can in itself generate these flashes, these incidents, these coincidences. I speak of 4 situations or perhaps 4 characteristics of an institution that can make it very special. And an institution like St. Peter's, surely it's a shining. I say first of all, it should be a beacon of light. A beacon of light. Education or anything matter of learning is always a symbol of light. And this light is very important because but for this light, we would not be enlightened, and surely we will not be see the difference between the darkness and the light. And therefore the education or the theological education, pastoral education that we get here should be always pointing towards the light. Matthew chapter 5 verse 16, let your light shine. And I think that is important for us. That St. Peter's becomes a beacon of light, not only as being the first institute in the whole of India to have shone its light to the others, but also perhaps to Asia, and why not to the world. And in this sense we say that the light that shines out of darkness is something important for us, and surely what we have to see is that every occasion is made use of to reflect this light. The responsibility is very much on the professors, the teachers here, as much as the students. As much as the students. You know, there was this little child, it seems, was playing in the dark, and there was someone who was putting a battery or torch some far away. And this small child said, I will try to catch the light. And she went and tried to catch the light. We know you cannot. But then that is perhaps we are also trying to catch light in darkness. Because ultimately this teaching, this learning should prepare us to be what we call the three munera, the prophetic role of Jesus. We are called to be prophets. A priest is a great prophet. And therefore in his teaching, in his preaching, which he prepares himself in this beacon of light, ultimately to shine as a prophet. Secondly, it is a sign and symbol of hope. An institution like St. Peter's has to be a sign and symbol of hope. It has gone so many years, perhaps not every year was eventful. Not every exercise was joyful. There were also moments of sorrow. There were also moments of sadness. There were also moments of hurt. But there is always hope. You know, hope is a great quality that Christianity speaks, our religion speaks, that even in an impossible situation, that there is hope. Because our God is God of the impossible. Our God is a God that perhaps creates out of nothing, and therefore it's a hope that generates. You know, Holy Father Pope Francis is very much eloquent in this. And this year, as you may have noticed in his initial circular, inaugurating the year of the Jubilee, which he calls also the year of hope, he gives us chances for us to renew our hope by visiting basilicas, by visiting pilgrimage centers, by visiting perhaps our own churches. This is very easy. You know, and our people are very fond of going from church to church. I have some parishioners who are not at home at all. From one pilgrimage they go to another pilgrimage, and from there they go to. And there are some priests and religious go from one retreat to the next retreat and the third retreat, and I think it's endless. It's endless. So the Holy Father points another perhaps direction to us. He calls them places where the hope is dim. Where the hope is dim. And therefore this year he has introduced a new indulgence, as it were, not only going to the basilicas and the churches, by visiting those places where hope is dim. Perhaps a hospital, perhaps an old age home, perhaps a school of the blind, perhaps a HIV center, a mentally handicapped. So these places, when we go to think that perhaps we are meeting people who according to us they have no hope, but their smile brightens our life. And therefore St. Peter's has to be one that equips us, or perhaps gives us that joy to say that we are the ones who can give hope to the others. Thirdly, I would say, an institution that is enduring edifice. Enduring, E-N-D-U-R-I-N-G, enduring. You know, an edifice, St. Peter's is not built of, I see the beautiful walls or the stones that speak of eternity. The granite stones here, the chapel, beautiful. But then ultimately the endurance is on our part. On the people who are here, on the formators who are here, the professors who are here, they are the stones. We have one, perhaps a big stone here, Father Degra himself, and I'm sure he has been here ever since this institute started 50 years ago, maybe much more than that. I do not know if there are any students also who started 50 years ago here and today are there. I myself was not lucky to come here. I was supposed to come to St. Peter's, but my bishop told me that he got only one form and my other co-brother priest was sent here. I consider you have to consider yourself lucky to have journeyed this 50 years, and this is the endurance that this institute gives us. And finally, I speak what's called an enduring school of love. E-N-D-E-E-R-I-N-G, enduring school of love. Every institute of learning is a school of love. And especially a seminary institute of studies like this has to be a school of love. It has to be a school because we don't have all the ones who are graduated or who are learned. There must be someone to learn. There must be someone who has to be a disciple. And all of us, including the professors, are the disciples. You know, there's a difference between a follower of Christ and a disciple of Christ. Many of us, perhaps students of St. Peter's also, we are followers of Jesus. We never become disciples of Jesus. We never perhaps learn to that, and therefore a school. Secondly, of love. Of love. To see that everyone who passes here longs to come back to this perhaps institute and go around and say, this is mine. That sense of belonging. If you don't have that, perhaps this is a school, this is an edifice, this is a monument, but then I am not bothered, it doesn't concern me. Recently I had 175 years of one of our school celebrations, and of course not 175, but 50, 60-year-old students had gone. And you know, they were not sitting in the benches or desks for the program as such. I saw them going with a stick around little the classroom, looking here, looking there, looking this one. And during the lunchtime they said, Bishop, I hope you didn't get distracted. I went to see my bench where I was sitting. And fortunately, he said, I had scribbled my girlfriend's name on the desk there, that is still there, he says. That was that enduring love of these students, past students, who perhaps want to say, this is mine, this is ours. And the moment we say it, perhaps we not only become part of this school, but a school of love itself. So my dear fathers, brothers, sisters, perhaps we have a long way to go. A woman's age is, perhaps as we grow older, we say we come down and descend, but an institution goes up and up. And therefore we pray, hope and pray that this institution of St. Peter's, which is 50 years old, which is in mid-age, we can say, of life, will have many, many years to go and surely become a beacon of light, become a sign and symbol of hope, become an enduring, perhaps an edifice, and lastly, a school of love and affection for everyone who has passed through this institution. God bless you.
as you spoke so beautifully, I am reminded of the bull of induction of the Jubilee year. Spes non confidit. Hope does not disappoint. And you never disappoint us too. You always come up with a beautiful and unique, insightful message. As I thank you for that, I'm sure this institute will give us a lot of hope and scope and strive to be a beacon of light.